for tuning into WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. You're listening to Read It Right Radio Show, and I'm your host, Lady T. I'm a children's author, TEDx international speaker, engineer, STEMpreneur, publishing consultant, as well as a radio host. Our show sponsors for today include Inspired Authors Publishing, where they help underrepresented industry leaders publish children's books about their field to inspire children to choose the same path. Go to www.publishtherightbook.com, where you can download the free ebook, 5 Tips for Publishing the Right Book, Avoiding Common Mistakes and Finding Success as an Author, as well as go to @IA Publish Agency for social media. Today we are discussing Tech for Tomorrow, INTech Foundation Empowering Girls in STEM, with our guest, Jerika Simone, Executive Director of INTech Foundation.
All right. I'm so excited to have our guest today, Jerika Simone, who's here, and she is the Executive Director of INTech Foundation. She is a musician, scholar, and community builder with a passion for educating our youth. I'm excited today. We're going to be talking so much about, education with STEM, technology, the whole how we can empower others, definitely with tech. And so today I want to start off by asking, how did you get started in what you are doing today?
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's a convoluted question. So I'll start with just a little bit about me to make it all make sense. So I actually didn't go to school for coding. I didn't go to school for tech. I actually went to school for psychology and philosophy. And I started getting into nonprofits because I'm a musician and I was teaching at the time. And so I was teaching with youth who are gender nonconforming, trans, and of all sort of racial and class identities. It was great. And over time, I just kind of got into administration because I really, really, really wanted to help. So I started going into nonprofit leadership and that sort of thing. I ended up being an executive director for a music program called Out Loud Louisville. And in 2020, I got thrown a whole curveball in the sense that, music education, especially music education that is specifically designed for Black, Brown, gender nonconforming, trans youth, has been so special and so in person, and it's been a beautiful experience.
When we come back, we will continue our discussion on Tech for Tomorrow, INTech Foundation Empowering Girls in STEM. You're listening to the Read It Right Radio Show, and I'm your host, Lady T. You're tuned in to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. We'll be right back after the break.
Get every word, cause that's a lot of letters. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. 911, hello, it's me, Sophia. Yes, this is an emergency. Yes, the way they put it down on me got the whole room tipsy. Hyperventilating when we be procreating. Where'd you learn to do that thing? How you hold the bat when you swing? I don't think I can breathe. I don't think I can be. I don't think I can think. I don't think I can see. Someone call a paramedic. I can't speak. It's all phonetic. Make me forget every word, cause that's a lot of letters. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y. Cut your pick out and put it in my locket, so I could kiss you whenever I wanted. Hyperventilating when we be procreating. Where'd you learn to do that thing? Now you hold it back when you swing. I don't think I can breathe. I don't think I can be. I don't think I can think. I don't think I can see. Someone call a paramedic. I can't speak. It's all phonetic. Make me forget every word, cause that's a lot of letters. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y. あいうえおかきくけこさしすせそ立ちつてとなにむねのはりるへおまみむねのやりるれよやりるれろはりぶべほちょっと待ってイケメンじゃない？イケメンだよね無理やばい超かっこいいんだけどなんか緊張しちゃうちょっと待って無理絶対無理やばいんだけど
back to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, and those streaming live through free TuneIn radio app. You're listening to the Read It Right Radio Show, and I'm your host, Lady T. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing Tech for Tomorrow, INTech Foundation, Empowering Girls in STEM. Make sure to check out my free ebook, 10 STEM Scholarships and Organizations ebook at www.stemisttheway.com. Joining us in the studio today is Jerika Simone, Executive Director of INTech Foundation, and our talk today is Tech for Tomorrow, INTech Foundation, Empowering Girls in STEM.
But 2020 challenged us to figure out how to instruct folks in a way that is culturally competent, that is skill building, engaging, and impactful online in a discipline that typically doesn't live here. And my team is mostly, women. And what I found is that we kind of struggled switching from like in-person sort of music education facilitation to online. And I started noticing a trend, not only within my organization, but just in the outside world, that it just seemed like women, especially women of color, were kind of struggling, trying to keep up with the transition from like an analog world to a digital one. And so I said to myself, there might be something here. There might be a connection between this like struggle I'm seeing and how tech as an industry and perhaps even a culture, I don't know how you feel, operates. And so I started digging. And I found the posting for INTech Foundation. Kalia Braswell, our founder, was transitioning out of the organization to pursue her PhD. And so I was like, oh, well, this is quite serendipitous. And so in 2022, that's when I entered into INTech Foundation and do what I do today.
Love it, love it, love it. I love that transition. You like it. And it has been a roller coaster. And so by you saying that, it definitely has been, how do we adjust, especially with that digital space and with technology? So I'm glad you hit that as what it entails for where we are now today. And so can you tell me, what is INTech Foundation? What is it? And can you share maybe some success stories or achievements that you've seen that you're maybe particularly proud of since you've been a part of it?
Yeah, so INTech Foundation is an organization, and we are just super dedicated to inspire girls and gender expansive youth to create innovative solutions for social good. And so what we're really getting at here is that we're really looking to find those folks who maybe aren't readily at the table when we're thinking about tech and its development and its thought production and its culture, and bringing them in and combining their interests and their passions and their powers to create a space where not only Black and Brown and other marginalized students feel like they belong, but that they can be radically creative and that they can explore like technology and the intersections between them in a way that feels whole for them, makes them feel happy, and they don't have to give up anything about themselves or anything about their identities to do so.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So when we talk about that whole being able to tackle these generations and everything, can we shift to the STEM education for our young girls and underrepresented communities? How do you think we can improve access to diversity within STEM fields?
Yeah, so that's such an interesting question, because I think it is a convoluted answer. I think one way we can reach our youth who need access is to, one, treat our youth as knowledgeable, as people who can actually be at the table and think through real things. It also requires us to really think about belonging, right? How do we go about teaching STEM in a way that validates and affirms everybody in the room, and that gives space for all of those things that we know through that everyday experience of interacting with tech and are the way that we think about the world, right? How do we figure out how to tap into those people or those parts of our personhood and give them to the things that we create? And so what that also means is that there's there's a curriculum thing that we can tackle, right? How do we go about teaching people? What languages do we use? Not just coding languages, but spoken human languages. How do we bring the human back into the technology? Not as something to model, like you see a lot of folks doing in some disciplines, not to imitate humanity, but to rather interplay, rather go back and forth between me as a person and this tool of technology.
I love it. I love it. So I've taken part, I've mentored a little bit and had some girls, for the program itself. And it's amazing just to see the impact that it's making with the organization. I mean, what feedback have you heard from some of the parents of just their journey of how y'all utilize that to make an impact to these girls? Your program?
Yeah, so what I love about our community is that it is vocal and they will let us know. And I think the success in the things that we've been hearing from our parents is one, that we exist. It's just nice to know that there are people who are interested in working with whole persons while learning. I mean, I don't think that it's a secret that there are ways in which our technological advances are outpacing our sense of understanding the implications of what they do. And that does create a little bit of fear, right? Especially for our most vulnerable. And so the fact that there are still parents who are like, we love INTech Foundation, we love the cause, is the first testament to success. I will say that one thing that has been really great about our parent feedback is that they have been letting us know what works. Like, this is inaccessible the way that you're teaching it, even when we're using folks who match our students' demographics, right? Because again, it's a curriculum problem. It's literally how we go about teaching the subject that is a problem. And so as we are transforming and we're growing and we're shifting to understanding those everyday instances of technology and how they improve our life, right? It gives not only our parents a concrete sense of what's going on. It gives accessibility because there is an anchor point in which they can understand what's going on with their child, right? And they can learn together, which facilitates that intergenerational learning that is so essential for making sure that our youth, especially our girls and gender non-conforming expansive youth, can actually enter into the tech industry.
Love it. So tell me, what would be some advice? Maybe, you talked about the parents, but what would be, if you had to give an advice to young people who are interested in maybe pursuing these careers, like with your program and everything, what advice maybe could you give a young person who can be interested in pursuing it?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, it's going to seem so cliche, but dream big and dream wildly. I mean, there is no limit to what you can dream. Connect with people, hear them, listen, think about the ways in which you want to bring joy into your community. And if you found a way, and that way is a technical way, go for it. I think there's something beautiful about youth in that they have so much unbridled passion that, if pointed in the right direction, can be a catalyst to exponential change. And we see that, through other instances. I mean, our youth have come together about gun violence. Our youth have come together about climate change. Our youth have come together about so many things that I think if we just give them the space and a little bit of a battery in their back and say, go free and dream, I think that we will see the things that we want to see out of technology.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. I mean, it's amazing to see how our youth just, the impact that they're making at that age and how they're making an impact through all this going on. And so if you could say, if there was one, you transitioned to be executive director and all this and stuff, what is maybe one big mistake you might have made or you've seen others make when it comes to stuff like this, as far as technology and all that? And, from that standpoint, from STEM and everything.
Yeah. So one, I've noticed that we can use some system updates. One, I think that we do need to really examine the ways in which we are spending our funding and our dollars, and making sure that especially our large tech companies, nonprofit or not, are directly contributing to communities directly. I would also love to see educators that really lean into that phenomenological, that everyday way of knowing, that like sort of intuitive way of understanding technology. And I would also love to see more spaces where, our kids are coming together, and maybe it's not even about like, let's build an app. Maybe it's like, let's sit and talk about how when I get on my phone, I get a little stressed.
After the break, we'll continue our discussion on Tech for Tomorrow, INTech Foundation, Empowering Girls in STEM. You're tuned into WDRB Media, the voice of the community, the only station giving you double the information and inspiration. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
Sometimes I'm free, depending on my mood, on my attitude. Sometimes I wanna roll or stay at home, walk in contradiction, get some factual and fiction. A little crazy, little sexy, little cool.
Welcome back to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, and those streaming live through free TuneIn radio app. You're listening to the Read It Right Radio Show, and I'm your host, Lady T. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing Tech for Tomorrow, INTech Foundation, Empowering Girls in STEM. Make sure to check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Tiffany Teachy, and that's Tiffany with an I, for more STEM resources and tips. We've been discussing Tech for Tomorrow, INTech Foundation, Empowering Girls in STEM, with Jerika Simone, Executive Director of INTech Foundation.
Let's talk about when I'm learning, this thing, it's recalling these memories and exploring those little interconnected sort of spaces between our outside lives and the way that we think. Ultimately, I also think that we need to think about our educators. I often go to companies and I often go to college campuses and I go to their tech departments, and I might see maybe 2 people of color, maybe 2. And I think some of this is, related to, honestly, there is a little bit of an elitism that comes with doing especially hard tech things like engineering, coding, and the things that we teach, right? And so what also happens is that also creates a situation where people feel othered, right? And so I just want to see a way in which our total system from top to bottom, bottom to top, can work in a way that is dynamic, that is agile, that is fluid, and that is human. And so tech doesn't take over us. It is just a thing to help us connect with one another.
Oh, I love it. You're dropping gems. I love it. It's the perspective of, utilizing it to connect, or the bridge builder type thing with technology. And I love how you tied that in with it. So what is maybe one thing that maybe somebody could take away to get started, right away with what we've been talking about? What is maybe one thing that maybe to get started that they maybe could take away today that we've been talking about with technology and stuff?
Yeah, I think the first thing is awareness, right? So just become aware. Where are all of your points in which you touch technology, right? Your microwave, your car, probably your alarm, your computer, it's everywhere. Where do you find joy in this world? You're probably going to find tech. And when you find that spot, go for it and see all the ways in which you can use tech as a tool to share that joy with other people.
Love it. So as you talk about a tool, are there any tools you provide or that you can that can help with this? Is there any tools that you maybe could put out there that you can provide?
Well, shameless plug. We do have a summer camp coming up. So we have our INTech Summer Camp for Girls. It's one of our flagship programs. This year, we're going to be hosting it at University of North Carolina at Charlotte. It's going to be from June 12th through the 16th from 9 a.m. until 4. And this year, we're going to be doing video games. And so it's going to be super fun to think about how we can think about gamifying our world for social good. And so if you're interested, definitely check out our Instagram. Our handle is at INTech Foundation, and you'll see a link in our bio, and that's going to take you straight to our application. And so our application takes about maybe 4 minutes to complete. We do ask for $100 of tuition. However, we provide sliding scale, and it's self-reported because, quite frankly, that's your business, not mine. And so we don't turn away people for financial need or anything like that. So that is the first tool. The second tool is just really follow us on social. Check out our website at intechfoundation.org, and you can keep up with organizational news that way. And if by chance you just want to talk to me, I'm chatting, as you all can see. So you can hit me up on LinkedIn at Jerika Jones Simone, and you can just inbox me, and we'll figure out a way to talk.
Love it. Let me ask you one more thing. I was going to ask you how can people get in touch with you, but you already answered that, so I love it. Is there a quote or motto that maybe you wouldn't mind just sharing, that maybe you have a favorite quote or motto that maybe ties in with what maybe we talked about to encourage others that you might want to share?
Yeah, I think our power is directly tied to our creativity. And so any tool that we apply our creativity and power to is bound to do some good.
Love it. Love it. That's the way we want to leave out with, because it's so powerful. It's a tool, like you said. And so thank you so much, Jerika. I'm just thankful that you've dropped so much knowledge and gems to the people. And I'm thinking this is the great opportunity to take advantage of. So thank you so much for being my guest. And I know that they've taken so much from you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so good to be here and just talk about, well, my passions. So thank you for providing the platform.
Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Join us next week as we continue our discussion on the importance of STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. We want to thank today's guest, Jerika Simone, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Continue to tune in every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please remember to connect with me by going to wdrbmedia.com. Click on the radio shows tab and go to the Read It Right Radio Show page. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show or want free advertising, go to www.readitrightshow.com. As well as, if you want that free STEM gift, 10 STEM scholarships and organizations ebook, go to www.stemisttheway.com. You've been listening to the Read It Right Radio Show, and I'm your host, Lady T, on WDRB Media, the voice of the community, for double the information and inspiration. Until next time, be blessed. Read it right, because STEM representation matters. Let's shape our future generation of STEM leaders.
Pulling it off the shelf, putting it on my chain, wearing it around my neck. I'm taking my freedom, putting it in my car. Wherever I choose to go, it won't take me far. I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 golden, living my life like it's 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 golden, living my life like lipstick on my neck. You let me know I'm your number one select. I like lipstick on my neck. Hands around my waist so you know what's coming next. I wanna feel your lips on mine. I just wanna feel a little tongue, we don't have a long time.